All right. Good afternoon, colleagues. Welcome to today's tips and tricks. Data do not speak for themselves. Storytelling with data, graphical choices. All right. So this is our 21st edition of the tips and tricks. If you have been following us, we have come a very long way. And since this is monthly program, it means in the next 3 editions, we'll be clocking 2 years non-stop of hosting this program. All right. So wherever you're joining from, you're welcome. My name is Nwaru, and I am the anchor person for this program. All right, as usual, I'm going to send you out. I'm going to send you out, and I will give you 15 minutes in your various groups. 15 minutes to look at these things here. Just talk about these things here. Just talk about these things here. I like graphics. Some in your group may not like graphics. You may like graphics and you don't use them, and so on and so forth. So discuss, and get somebody to come back and present your feedback, your discussions, your feedback. All right. So let me send you. So please take a picture of this, and in 15 minutes you will be coming back. Please help us to mute yourself. Don't disturb us. If you disturb us, we will disturb you. So please, you will see a pop-up to join your group. So please join, and in 15 minutes, I will bring you back. 15 minutes, I'll bring you back. All right? All right, all groups are back. Group number 1, who is presenting for group number 1? Please, let us see you. Group number 1.
Okay, Prof, I can present for group number 1.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, let me just okay. There were 6 questions that we had to address. The first 3, we all agreed that we like graphics. We use them, and then we think that, or we agree that they are important in our field for the reasons that with the graphics, it helps to easily visualize our data. It also helps us to interpret for interpretation. It helps to identify outliers, which can adversely influence research findings, and also helps us to point out important points. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much for that. Group number 2, who is speaking for group number 2?
Yeah, so for group number 2, we had also agreed that graphics are very useful and important, especially for different kinds of work. Those of us in academia, those doing industry work, wherever you find yourself, because you may have to do some form of presentation to communicate and then all that, graphics tend to summarize your information and your concepts and your ideas so that they are easily understood by your audience. 1,000 words, we said, speaks, a figure speaks much more words than 1,000 words. So instead of writing a lot of things for people to be reading through, I mean, just one figure is enough to be able to explain a concept or idea. So we agree that it's important, and that there are several tools that some of us in the group are using. Others are also new to the concept of data visualization, but there are quite a number of us who agree that they use them in their various endeavors. So yes, we agree that they are very useful.
All right, group number 3.
For group number 3, we agree that we like graphics because it can help you serve as a pictorial representation of your data, especially when that data is large. And we use it can be used to supplement text. So yes, we use graphics as well. It is also using it, you also need to look at your audience, who are your target audience. Some people like a lot of graphics, some don't like so many graphics, and so you consider your target audiences. And we find that yes, it's important in our field and needed in our field by most people. But one thing you always consider is who is your target audience and how do they receive the figures, text, or graphics. Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. Welcome everyone. If you are just joining us now, we're talking about graphics, particularly as they concern scientific presentations. All right, let me share my slide. Just a minute, okay. All right, honestly, there are a lot to speak about graphics. Somebody is really not in the mic. Who is that? Please mute your mic because we don't have time to do that for everyone. We don't have time. Just have only half an hour to finish this. Okay. Yes. So what is in front of you is an old saying. Is an old saying. Honestly speaking, is an old saying, and every one of us loves that. Every one of us loves that. Graphics. Even our old parents who are in the villages, send pictures to them. It means a lot. It means a lot. Coming over those pictures again and again keeps memory. All right. So graphics are important, and much more important in the era we are, where pictures matter. Some of the big players in today's industry, some of the wealthy organizations are organizations, social, where people can share different things. It may be in video, it may be in graphics, it may be in different ways. So there is an alignment we have towards graphics. And for scientists, this becomes an era to explore, an era to explode, an era to make our communication effective. All right? So graphics are tools we employ to enhance our communication. As scientists, many times we actually underestimate our relevance. In this platform, we continue to emphasize that no society develops without science. No society develops without science. Science is the driving force. Science is the driving force. And that alone puts a burden on us as scientists. Okay? That whatever we do behind the society, because everything we do is behind the society. You may be a scientist. Your husband and your wife is not. When you come home, you rarely discuss those because it's difficult to pass that message. All right? Sometimes they are not very much interested because of the way we give that message. But that is not our goal. That is not who we should be. We should be those who speak and people can understand. So we have different targets. People will reach out. Our fellow scientists, the society, journalists, other people, policymakers. There are different people we send our message to. And that is why it is important. We need to develop the skills of science communication, in which we have to inform, in which we have to make people understand what we are doing, what we are finding, the relevance of what we are doing. I was invited I think that was last year or so, there is a place here, we call it Universium. That is a place where they have a display of different aspects of the universe. All right? A display of different aspects of the universe. It may be from animals, maybe from the space, maybe from the plants. So people from all over the world come there for tourism. It's a huge place, and people go there to see what is there. And so recently, they started working towards aligning themselves with scientists to allow scientists to tell their story so that they can encourage young people who are coming up to also develop interest in science. Since it is a center where they display science, they display nature. So last year they called me. They said we are planning a project. They described the project to me, and that is fantastic. And they got to know this. They got to know about me because of a project I was doing in my group on how we can reach out to the society with what we're doing, because the society doesn't know much what we're doing. The society funds our research, they contribute to research data, but they don't do much what we do. So this project was, how do we reach out to them? And that means ordinary people on the street, policymakers, grantors, funders, and those who contribute data to our. How do we make our message, our findings, so easy for them to understand? So they called me, and what they did was they took me to the studio with some of my colleagues. They started asking me what made you to come into science, what you're doing. And what they did was they made this video, this short video, and put it in that university. So if you go there, they made a stand for me. There, I'm just there. The video is showing me. So I didn't know this was there because I saw that last year. And then a colleague of mine from office, they had a meeting in that place 2 weeks ago. And she said, "Hey, Brad, I saw you yesterday at university." I said, "Really? Me? I didn't go there. I can't even remember when I went to university." I said, no. I saw you speaking there. Your image is there. You know what? That image will remain for a long time. What I have said there will remain for a long time. This is type of communication. So getting our message to society, getting our message to colleagues in a way that becomes memorable. It becomes interesting. It becomes understandable. And this is what some of the things graphics can help to do. All right. So science communication helps us to understand the world around us, build trust in science, encourage participation in science, promote scientific literacy. And when we do this, we try to break down complex concepts for easy understanding. We use visuals, like I just mentioned what my colleague saw there. That image remains permanent. All right, we use visuals to pass our message. We use storytelling. Yeah, that's one of the things, the project I told you about now. We have used graphics until this point, but now we are moving towards storytelling. We want to recruit expert storytellers to tell the story of what we produce, what we're doing. All right? That is a powerful tool. Using humor for more accessible and enjoyable engagement. What all this is talking about is scientists, as we are, we need to calm down because it is a society we are serving. We need to calm down. We need to speak their language. We need to interact with them. I was sitting with a neuropsychologist in my center. I have a COVID study that I've been running. So now we are looking at data. So today we met, and we are looking at post-COVID, long COVID. We're looking at from the neurological point of view. We are looking at it from respiratory point of view. We're looking at it from cardiovascular point of view to see the long-term effect. So today we had a neuropsychologist, an expert, and he was explaining some of these tests. Some of these tests they used to the nurses assess the participants when they come to, and I was actually laughing. I said, wow, you see, this test will be huge. I take it home. If I have one of my children maybe is disturbing, I can put them on that test. All right. What happens is that it is engaging, it's interesting, that can, and children will love this. All right. Children will love this. And so I was wondering the way they have made such tests so simple that they can attract attention. All right. Can assess how fast you can solve some problems, some little problems, but they can become complicated. And these problems can be engaging, and even children can participate in that. All right. So how we can break down complex things and make them easy to understand. All right. So our principles for communication is accuracy. To be accurate, to be clear, to engage. To be accurate, we need to pass accurate message. We need to be clear with the message we pass. We need to engage. And this is some of the things that graphics can help us do. Look at this. We're in the era of graphic abstract. I don't know, some of you who have been publishing, many journals nowadays are requiring this. You see, this is very, very important because it has led to increase in accessibility, increase in citation, increase in use of evidence generated from research. So this is a graphic abstract that summarizes everything they have done in this research, summarizes that. And this is very easy for you as a scientist. If you like what they have done, you can pick this graphic abstract as I've used it here, put it in your slide, and move on. All right? You don't need to read and type everything. This is a fantastic thing to embrace the capabilities of graphics to tell our story. So this is the era we are. And if you are not participating in this, you are lagging behind. And I tell you, in the next 5 years, if you are not careful, you will be 20 years behind us. And you understand the way this world works. It waits for nobody. If you are left behind, you are left behind. If you are left behind, you are left behind. I hope you understand what I mean. All right, so graphics become tools we can use to improve our communication as scientists. All right? They provide visual aids, visual tools. They can help us to observe patterns. They can help us to observe correlations. They can help us to get the point of our research, get it out there in a very simple, understanding, and visual way. And there is anecdotal evidence. I was discussing this with my colleague yesterday, that scientific papers that employ graphics are more likely to be cited than those that do not employ graphics. It's as simple as that. And this is evidence with what I've just shown you here. If you have a paper that have this type of graphics, graphic abstract, it is easier to, if you type the name of this paper or you type the author, Google assembles graphics. You automatically see this graphic display, this graphic abstract displayed. And when that happens, you pick up that paper. So the likelihood of being cited more increases when there is graphics in the paper. And the likelihood, not just of being cited more, but of also using the evidence generated increases when there is graphics. So graphics are important, powerful tools that help us to engage in our communication. Look at what is here. If I write a dog and I have the dog, and that is what my colleague observed when she went to university. Somebody is still not muted. And I don't like that. Somebody is still not muted. All right. So what is here It's what happens after this message is done. I write a dog and I show a dog. Graphics are powerful. You will go home with this image than you would with this. And not just, this is a name of an animal, but this one is not just a name of an animal. It carries the name. There's an emotion. You can interpret something there. You can think. Maybe you have lost a dog like I did before when I was young. You can remember. You can attach. You can have a memory. And looking at this dog, I don't know what you think. Is this dog sad or surprised or angry? You can write your, if you want to comment, you can write a comment on the chat box. But the issue here is that you have a graphic that makes an impression on you. That is the power of graphics. And bringing graphics into research is very important. Types of graphics, you can see on the left side, bar graph, line graph, scatter plot, histogram, pie chart, these are common ones. And then you begin to get complicated with other things there, okay? You begin to get complicated with other things there. But when you read this paper or these papers here, what you see will make more impression on you than what you read. Reading is good, very, very important. But when you add graphics, can you imagine why children's little kids' books are full of graphics? When my kids were small, I liked reading stories, bedtime stories. And if you buy books at different ages, from when they're three months, there are books from when they're 3 months, they go to 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. So you see an advancement in the way the books are arranged. From 3 months, there is barely anything written on the text. And so what these kids will do, you lie there on the bed with them, they are looking at this picture. They're looking at this picture. They look at the picture. You move it, they start crying to keep it there. What are they seeing? That is impression graphics can bring. And it doesn't matter the age you are, graphics are important. This is a flow chart of a study and different graphics, and many more types. And as we are developing, you have the AI, you have the tools that can help you to do lots of things. There is no limit to what we can get in terms of graphics. There's no limit really. All right. Okay. Where do we use these types of graphics in the research process? We use them throughout research process. You can see this. People have used different symbols to describe the different research processes. All right. So if you're a researcher, you can use these graphics at different stages of your research and beautify your message and beautify your communication. All right. At the project design stage, this is a graphic of my project, the project I just told you, post and long COVID follow-up investigation. All right. I tell you, by the time I describe everything here in text, you'll be bored. You have to read it in stages many times. But here I have it. You'll be attracted to see what is happening here. What are they doing? So this project is a project we have designed to follow COVID patients clinically and then in the population registers. So we have two modes of follow-up. We can link our data to population registers, and then we can follow them clinically. So clinically, they are invited, they are assessed by the nurse, lots of data are collected. And we have the first clinical visit or the second clinical visit, then we link them to the registers. And what happens here is that we had 6,560 COVID participants originally, excluding the Omicron variant from 42,600 people. Okay, and so we plan to follow 360 of those clinically and 6,200 of those in the registers. Now, before the COVID came, we have pre-COVID data, clinical data, questionnaire data. And so this enriches our investigation. So we can use our pre-COVID data to look at risk factors for COVID, risk factors for post-COVID, risk factor for long COVID, and then we are following them up with regards to respiratory, cardiovascular, neurological endpoints or outcomes. And follow them. So you can see when I'm telling you this story, visualizing, when you live here today and somebody asks you about my COVID study, there's an impression that you live with. So at the project design stage, you can be innovative enough to work on a graphic that can illustrate what you want to do. And you can see here, this graphic has been done by experts. There's a company in London I contacted. They are specialists in science animation, and they work on this with me. So what I did was to sketch to them what I want to do. I want to tell this story in a very simple way, in a very simple graphic way. And they took that, I discussed with them, and they mapped out things. And of course, they sent it back to me. I looked at what they have done, they changed it, they updated it until we came to an agreement. This other one, this is a current project I'm working on, phenotyping and characterizing asthma investigation. All right. So we want to identify phenotypes of asthma. And when we have done that, we'll characterize their subtypes and investigate their clinical characteristics, genetic characteristics, socioeconomic characteristics. And then from there, we looked at what we call intrinsic and extrinsic risk factors, molecular allergy, polygenic scores, role of sex steroids, socioeconomic gradient. We look at impact on the society. How many of them die? How many of them use healthcare? The burden on the healthcare, multimorbidity, long COVID, and then predict future outcome. So if I'm able to characterize subtypes of asthma, can I say in the next 10 years, what would that asthma patient look like in terms of their severity, exacerbation and lung function decline, multimorbidity, medication use? All right. So this is the story of this project. This is before I started the project. And here I use text to describe what I want to do at this stage, 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 what I want to do at this stage. Well, you can call me innovative kind, but it's not being an innovative kind. It's actually trying to tell my story. I want to tell that story in a way that is easy. And I tell you, this picture, somebody who sees it and is reading my project will stay on this picture and admire what has happened here. And so what happens that when I've conceptualized this idea, I contacted a company in London. I have another project for you. Can you do this? And they use their artistic mind to help me pattern this. All right, data collection, you can use graphics to illustrate what you want to do. Focus group discussion, observations, case studies, qualitative surveys. You can use graphics to illustrate what you want to do. Data analysis, what is here was a project a PhD student of mine did recently, and I continue to put this in their mindset. Be innovative, be innovative. And then he used this to illustrate what he did in his data analysis. And this is powerful because he can write a whole 5 pages on what he has done here. But using this simple presentation, you can get an idea of what get your message out. All right. And this is mine. It's not fantastic like his own. He has rather a younger mindset. But I did this about 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago, I did this. All right. And you can understand that well, I was good, okay, to be able to think about this. So I use this to help myself to have a flow framework of how my data from routine data collected, how I can process it, make meaning of it, and develop my analysis and results. So at the data analysis stage, you can employ graphics as well to illustrate what you want to do. So by the time you go through this, the whole picture of what I want to do is communicated. Reporting results, participant flow. All right. How did you gather your participants? How many of them eventually ended in your study? How did you collect the data? And so on and so forth. All right. So employ the power of graphics. And then descriptive results. You can use any of this depending on the nature of your data. You can use any of this. You can use any of this, and many more are out there. The point I'm making here is that the story you want to tell as a scientist will be enriched if you are able to employ the power of graphics. And main results, you can present, use different aspects, use different listen to present your main results. And once you do this, they aid your text. They aid your text. All right. So principles of using graphics in your research. First things first, do you need a graphic? That is a question, first question you need to answer. The research you're doing at the moment, do you need a graphics? It's not every time graphics are helpful. All right, you need to determine that. Once they are needed, they are powerful too. But you need to assess whether you need the graphics. That's the first thing you need to do. Graphics can be used when you want to prove a point. As a point you need to prove. You need to highlight that point. You need to bring it up. Okay? You see, the asthma phenotyping project I presented to you, if I sit somebody down and I'm telling, the person may, before I finish, the person may even be sleeping, feel like sleeping because the story is so long, it's so complicated. But I have proven my point by using graphics that I can give somebody that illustration without being there to explain myself. All right? Graphics add color to your story and make it more comprehensive in perspective. I still go back to those ones. The project graphics have illustrated. They add color. Use graphics when you want to describe more information with less space. I still go back to that. And the projects, the analysis project my student did, I told you he can be there doing that for five pages, but on a page, and a spacious page, is able to describe more information with a less page. When you want to describe complex information, use graphics. Like my projects, they are so complex. You know, you link to this, you link to registers, you do follow-up, clinical follow-up, and then you do this, you do that, you do that. Somebody's, where do you start? But with graphics, complex information is reduced to simple descriptions. When you want to compare data graphics. All right, choose the right graphics. Different types of data may require different types of graphics. If you want to make a distribution, if you want to make trends, you want to make clusters. If you choose a wrong graphic, you have a bad message. You will even feel ashamed of yourself. Because you're talking down, somebody is looking up there to the sky as if the speaker is up there. No, the person is trying to make sense. What is he saying? What is this? So choose the right graphic. Know the variety of graphics and their uses. You have to know what they mean. There are many out there, but you have to find out. Once you want to start using them, find out. Make it readable. Use minimal text. Message is not being lost. Don't lose your message in the midst of too many texts. Employ symbols to make distinctions. Put only essential elements in the figure. That means declutter the figure. You can use footnotes. You can see this. This is mess. This is simpler. This can be made perhaps a little bit more simple, but it is simpler than this. Use informative titles. Acknowledge the source. It may be software you have used. Sometimes you produce graphics. Sometimes you use other tools to illustrate what you're doing. Acknowledge the source. If your college or university or your company or whatever have colors and logos that they make mandatory to include in your illustrations, integrate those. Use accurate dimensions. You can see sometimes when you have sent your papers and then you come during the publication stage, the publishers will come back to you and say, oh, your graphics is of poor quality, please, we need this dimension. Use accurate dimension. Run away from 3D graphs. You see this? This is not important, my dear. This is a bad one. Be simple. Just be simple. Just be simple. Okay? Because simplicity is the king. Simplicity is king. Focus on what stands out. That is how our brain works. Our brain wants you to tell me what is it you're talking about. Just tell me. So your graphic should focus on what stands out. People like elegance. Please be artistic for once. Be artistic for once. Be artistic for once. And that is why there's a course coming up in December, the art of scientific writing and publishing. There is an artistic part of science. All right, graphics introduce those. All right, so if you want to do, there are several programs out there. Some of them are free, some of them you pay. There are several out there you can use to make your graphics. Some are included in the statistical programs we are using, but not everything. Many of those statistical programs do not have fantastic graphics, but however, just be a list that there are several you can think of, and you can help yourself too. All right, so my story ends here this afternoon. My time is gone. We will have the last, or the next and the last tips and tricks for this year in December. And as all of you are well, I don't know if it's all of you, as most of you may know, the SFI conference and bootcamp is coming. All right, so that week we will utilize it very well. Before and after, all right, to celebrate our first annual conference. And so we're going to skip the tips and tricks, and then we move to the December edition. There, we'll be looking at steering clear of data pitfalls. So the story of data do not speak for themselves still continues in December. And that session will also tell you what the tips and tricks for 2024 will be. All right. So if you have not registered for the conference, please, things are bubbling there. Things are bubbling there. I tell you, if you have not registered, register. Don't waste time, because it's going to be a very fantastic opportunity for all of us there. We have the keynote speakers we have unveiled. We have the panel discussants we have unveiled. We have the bootcamp facilitators we have unveiled. Please don't miss this opportunity. Don't be told and then you are sighing, how I wish you know now. So please get involved. Yeah, we have the key highlights. The key highlight, there will be 6 research sub-themes, 4 keynotes, panel discussion that is accelerative. Wow, that's a big word. 5 bootcamp coaching sessions, 45 choral abstract, 40 poster abstract. That is huge. And then, of course, big surprise that will happen. The launching of the SFI Research Journal is coming up. You see, all the things we have talked about today, we will be making them realistic. SFI has big dreams. And then the big one, the SFI Scholar. Please don't miss, because we're going to launch this year. We're going to launch them there. Honestly, I am very much looking forward. And many more. Please join us. Yeah, the course I mentioned, application is still going on. Please, this is a very fantastic course. You wouldn't want to miss it. All right. Yes. Yeah, my colleague Eman has put I forgot to mention that on Sunday we have the seminar series. We are discussing the issues of funding based on the ASFI. So please join us on Sunday. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and I wish you a lovely weekend. We will send these slides as soon as they are ready. Some of the things I've shown you there, I'm not going to share them because they're still in-house. You have seen your eyes, but we will share the content that we can share with you in due course. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Prof. Have a restful weekend. Thank you so much for the lecture.
Thank you, Prof. And blessed weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.